Hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Unconquered Podcast Patreon film session. We're going to do some X's and O's breakdown of yet another loss. Lethal simplicity indeed. Well, here we go. And it's a good thing that guy didn't play for Wake Forest, or Florida State would have given up like 38 points. The defense played okay, but not well enough. And here you see what makes Wake Forest so unusual. Let's just go ahead and slow mesh point. Oh, I see the safety blitz. Well, then I'm just going to go ahead and hand it. There you go. And the delay allows them to double team more at the point of attack. And even though Florida State's really good with Durden and Marvin Wilson and Cooper, they're getting beat up front. That's what Wake Forest does. Infuriating to play against. Oh, I can't believe I have to break down another loss like this. All right. And what do they do? And this is Kendall Hinton from Southern Durham, where I coached 3 years ago. And Florida State bringing a blitz. They're bringing 6. And it's 2 over 3. And this becomes an easy pitch out on 2nd and 6. You're just not going to win that, especially when they've got 215 and 210 out here blocking. So bringing field pressure. And this is really good route running from Sage Surratt. So take note of this being this is a slant and go. Slant, and then you see that's not bad from Stanford Samuels, actually. He's able to press on the slant and then try to get back over the go. But Surratt turns that, he recognizes he's not going to get over the top, and, well, that's tough to cover. That's quality route running right there. So you see this here. Nice slant. And because Samuels turns out of this how you have to, he gets into his blind spot and just shuts it down. And there's just not much you can do. If you're not getting pressure, not much you can do as man, what is it about Florida State players taking each other out? I mean, good God, that's almost another knee injury. I mean, why are you even going down like that? There's nothing to gain by coming down like this if you are... I guess he's going after the football. I can get that. He's trying to slap the football out. That's not bad. But, geez, guys, I mean, how many times are we going to see somebody come at the legs of a teammate? It's a nice throw. And this is where, actually, the dropping end, he's got to... Ideally, if you have an outside backer there, he's a little better schooled to keep getting depth because there's nobody else out there. But this is where, if Wake Forest had Jamie Newman, they probably score on this trip because they're running the football here, and Newman is a 200, or he's about a 225-pound load, maybe even 230. That's tough. He's going to punch that ball in here. This is good coverage, though, by Stanford Samuels. Or I guess, is that Stanford? Yeah, that's Stanford Samuels. That's pretty good coverage. A little hand fighting, but overall, that's not bad. Surratt pushing off. Samuels not getting pushed around. That's good coverage from him. So you get the field goal. And again, if Newman had played, that would have been a problem. What is the deal here? So first play they're going to show here is a 3rd and 8. And that should have been a penalty, actually. Because here's the thing. He's out of bounds and then comes back inbounds and is the first to touch the ball. That should have been a penalty. The official completely missed that in Florida State's favor. And it should be that official's call, but he missed it. And that should have been a penalty instead of a first down. Plenty of time here for Blackman. It's a terrible spot. We'll go ahead and back there. Blackman once again. And of course, since 80's been having a breakout season, it's time for him to get hurt. But take note of, this is a really bad right here from Ryan Roberts. Teams are starting to figure out that double moves and bull rushes give him problems, and that's a free runner just on a little crossover move. I mean, he doesn't even get a hand on him. That's pretty bad. Can't get that out. 4th and 2. This is the right call. And this is a really good play call, actually. Because what you've got here, this is a shovel with the lead blocker here. So this is power blocking from the backside. And then you're optioning this guy. So if he's in position to make the play against the shovel, and you've got space out here, you take it. If he attacks horizontally and takes this away, then you hit the shovel underneath, and that's a first down. So that's a really good call by Briles. Clever setup. Neighbors had himself a pretty good game. Not bad from Blackman here. And once again, just not able to sustain blocks against inside rush. Third and 10 turns into 4th and 1 again. Oh, and yeah, this here. I gotta say, Blackman is waving here, but if I'm Blackman, or I'm sorry, Gavin is waving here, but if I'm Gavin before the snap, I'm going woo! I'm yelling, trying to get his attention because I know they're trying to snap it early, but I mean, you could go here, and these are automatic first downs, and that's something that in film session they're going to be going, "What are you looking at, son?" You got to be aware. I mean, even if that's not the play call, you got to be aware that there's nobody out there. Just field awareness. And it's amazing. Didn't get it. And you go from an easy touchdown here. I mean, how do you not get this? He's waving at him. Hey, right here. Come on. Oh, come on. Well, it's hard to run against a 10-man box. And when you're in 3 wide and there's a 10-man box, well, maybe you should figure out that there's a reason that there's 10 guys in the box. Should be 7-3 right now after an easy touchdown. But, well, it's just not how Florida State does things. And Surratt is an NFL wide receiver. Stanford Samuels thinks that he's out of bounds there. This is the one time this game where Samuels really got beat over the top. Good play by Surratt. Samuels overall played pretty well in this game, I thought. And this is another situation where it's 3rd and 7 inside the 10-yard line. They're probably not even in 3rd and 7 with Jamie Newman, and he probably scores here. Good job by the Wake quarterback not turning it over here. But Florida State did a pretty good job defensively in their rush lanes, keeping good rush lanes, compressing it, taking away his space. And the backers actually do a good job of matching here. And a nice job by 56 there to make the near open field tackle to come up and turn that into a 4th down situation. LeBourne gets it here, and, well, this is what's so amazing is not only do you miss that block, if you're Abdul Bello. But then, in the effort to try to come back and get it, you make the tackle on your own running back, essentially. I mean, this is where things are. This is horrible. First of all, even though he's crossing his face, that's not his guy at this point. That's got to be Minshew's guy. He shouldn't even be turning around here. Your job, if you're Bello, is to get up to the second level, give Minshew that guy, because he's slanting. So now that's Minshew's guy. Let Minshew take care of him. And then this turns into a run where you've got Bello getting to the second level, and you've got a chance for this to turn into a big play. Instead, it's a significant loss. And that's not on LeBourne. It's just not. LeBourne's the luckiest guy on this team right now that he hasn't had to take a bunch of hits behind this offensive line. And that's a terrible drop. This is a good throw by Blackman. And yeah, Blackman didn't play well in this game. But right here, this has got to be a touchdown. This is what we talked about in the pregame. They're going to play over the top with their corners, and you're going to have some opportunities to make plays down the field on in-breaking routes in particular. This is exactly what you're looking for. And that's a good job in pass protection by Akers. That's just terrible from Terry. Not only is that not a touchdown, but that's a 3rd and 6 that you lose. And once again, this long delay, not bad by Janarius, but you got to get him down earlier. First down. It's just what they do. You can try to clog it inside, but they're going to just turn those into double teams and be able to push you a little bit. Now, here's where you're starting to see Florida State playing a lot of young guys, and that's really good coverage by Stanford Samuels. I mean, you can't ask for much better than this. This is good technique. He's in position. He gets his hand on the ball. He's punching it out, and Surratt's just a little bigger and wins the one-on-one. But look who's on the field here. Young guy, youngish guy, young guy. That's really good from Samuels. I mean, you can't ask for much more. That's good coverage. And Surratt's just a beast. And this is, again, a situation where that a little bit less long mesh point, but there's space here. They're able to get a double team. They actually triple team Marvin Wilson here. You see that? And then you can see Durden takes himself out of the play. You can't get that far out of your gap. Because Wilson's got here. Durden has to take care of filling the inside, and then the backer is late to trigger. He's got to recognize where that's going. He's waiting because of how long that mesh point normally takes. Back does a good job getting vertical, and that's first down on 3rd and 3. And, you know, if he's a bigger backer with a little more strength, he makes that tackle and he goes backwards. But Florida State's playing smaller backers. Now, notice this. He says first down. He must say something to him here. And then he actually hits him a little bit there. And they don't notice that. That's a little iffy. They probably should have called that. It's a dangerous throw. But you got a freshman here, and I really like what I'm seeing from McClendon. Like to see a little bit more bend that edge, get underneath a little earlier. Wake's got a good offensive line, and he does a pretty good job here. They're in max protect, and not bad by Brooks. Ball he probably should get his hand on, but this is, I think, a bad call. Not only is it not targeting, which they correctly ruled, but that shouldn't be a penalty. And here, you've got a little pop pass. And a good job by Gant getting his hands on him and redirecting. And they're able to survive another red zone trip. And at this point, I'm thinking, well, they've made all these red zone trips. Florida State may just win this, even though Wake has outplayed him. That's pretty good from both Blackman and Pokey Wilson. And I got to say, maybe the funniest tweet I've read in a while is that, Taggart has shown such bad judgment. It was about Taggart showing such bad judgment he can't even dress himself in a game where it's supposed to be a downpour. He wears a sweatshirt instead of anything waterproof. Sweatshirt and a visor instead of anything waterproof and a hat. And that's pretty freaking hilarious. And this is just Akers being a dude. Not bad on the offensive line here. Not bad from Jawan Williams there. And then Akers is really good. You can see here, not bad from Minshew, who's got to be 380 pounds at this point. And not bad from Jawan Williams. Nice play call here. Running out of that same action with the running back, and the whole design is to force you to have to honor that inverted veer action here on the edge with the backer and with the flat defender, and you do it just enough to get that wheel up the sideline. You hit it in the hole. That's really good. Well executed. Blackman at this point is playing good football. McKitty, nice catch. Inside the red zone. And this is Stranad just getting a free run. And they had a good blitz in. And a lot of teams are doing this now. I mean, we saw it most with Clemson. Clemson, every time Florida State had jet action, they were blitzing from the other side because Florida State very often goes back in the direction of where the jet came from. And you can see the boundary blitz where the jet was coming from, and he's able to get pressure on the quarterback. Blackman's able to make a little better throw there. That's a touchdown. And McKitty has to be able to pick up on where the ball is. I think he sometimes just doesn't see the ball as quickly. He doesn't pick up on it as quickly as what you'd like. He's just late in recognizing where the football is. First and goal, and then you've still got Akers, and Akers is really good. Is also pretty good from the offensive line. We talked about this in the pregame, that if they can get their hands on Wake Forest guys, they should win those matchups. And you can see Lucas wins his matchup. Good double team here with Ryan Roberts, gets his matchup. Bavion Johnson doesn't get pushed back like he did against Clemson, and that turns into an easy touchdown by Akers. Don't celebrate too early, guys. But at this point, you're thinking, well, Florida State's managed to close it down. Wake has moved the ball really well, and FSU has brought it within 2 anyway. Well, too bad they lost by 2. This was a bad decision by Hartman. Florida State dropped 7 here, and again, they're doing a lot better job. You notice the backers, they're actually matching. He gets his hands on the receiver. Same thing on the edge here. He finds the curl and gets underneath it. That's good match coverage. And man, what a difference having Levitt on staff has made. Because this is what match coverage is supposed to look like in the zone. This is progress. Much better. Now, they're still getting blocked up front. You'd like to see more pass rush here. They're trying to contain him a little bit, but that's really good from the underneath coverage there. And I tell you what, 56 had a quality game here, I think, especially in the first half. Still needs to stop talking, running his mouth. Wait until you're starting to win games before you run your mouth. It's the old Coach Corso thing. Don't talk talk little while you're losing, and talk even less once you're winning. You got mesh here. Good decision by Blackman. Got the mesh there, and then all you're doing is you're keying on him when he stays in. You kick that out immediately, and that's not bad by LeBourne, and that's an even better job getting up to the first down. LeBourne's played pretty well in recent weeks. And this is on Blackman. Well, not exactly. No, never mind. This is not on Blackman. The guy who's got to be responsible for him here, that's got to be on. Who is that? Is that Jawan? You have a defensive end who's just lined up in the 9 technique. It's just way wide. And you got to know he's there. That's his responsibility. Yeah, that's Juwan Williams, and he just never sees him, never looks, never even recognizes he's out there. And Blackman is expecting protection here, justifiably, that he's not going to get just a free run there. And if he gets any protection here, he's got a chance right there in the middle of the field. That's open. But combination of quarterback play and offensive line play in this game. And again, Blackman played pretty well here. And early, but didn't late. And then here you've got Florida State telegraphs the blitz. And this is a really good adjustment by Surratt and Hartman. Because normally they're going to, you can see from what Florida State does, their adjustment to this is to throw the hitch. That's what they do. And Florida State rotated the safety down trying to get a pick here. And they recognized that Florida State was rotating that down, and they turned it into a pump and go instead of a hitch. And well, that's just Wake being good. That's good play. You can't come out of control if you're Taylor, but he's looking back and he realizes, oh, I've got to get over the top, and they turn that into a little vertical option, vertical choice. Surratt's a good player. Only thing he lacks is elite speed. And that's a throw that Newman probably makes, but it's also a situation in 3rd and 7 that they're probably not in if Newman's the quarterback. Now, I do like what Florida State did here defensively. They've got a safety here over top of one corner. This is Scotty Washington, who's a 6'5" wide receiver, and he's going up against Asante Samuel. They know that if that's one-on-one there, they're going there every time. So they put the safety over top of him to make sure that if they're going to throw vertical here, he's going to go up and get it. And then the bottom of the screen, you've got Stanford Samuels against Surratt, and he's already shown that he can handle that in the red zone reasonably okay. And then you're one-on-one in the slot. So it's quarters here. It's, what you'd call red 8 or red quarters in the on this side, and then it's cover 2 on this side. So a little split field coverage there. Give some credit to the defensive staff for having a nice split field call there to make that more difficult for Wake in that situation. Good job. 3rd and 5, and notice Florida State was in a lot of 3rd down situations. Get a lot of cut blocks here. And Blackman decides nothing's open, so he goes deep. And the design here is they're trying to get it right there. So cut blocks, trying to get right there. They get underneath it. Nothing there, so now he turns and he says, get deep. I'm going to try to hit you. Not bad, but not going to get that call. So now 4th and 5. And Akers is really good. Now here's where you're starting to see the freshmen. They've had some problems with the other guys, so now you're starting to see the freshmen. This is Washington. And I'm surprised he's the first of the freshmen that is out there. I mean, I thought he was a nice prospect, but I thought Ira Henry might be ready a little earlier. But Washington's out there, and you can see the nice size. He's got a nice bubble and good length in the upper body. So, projects all right, and he played okay. Missed his block there. But 2nd and 2 here. And that's pretty good right there from Ryan, from, who is that? That's Lucas. Gets a little hands to the face, wins his matchup anyway. And here's where you're getting Baselli as well, and Baselli actually played okay. Got his hands on somebody. So this is actually pretty decent from the offensive line. That's not terrible, and then that's Akers. It's a bad interception right there. Bad in several respects. One is that there's no reason that they should have gotten this pressure, and Washington just got beat inside. It's what you can't do. Can't reach here. You have to work with your feet first. He has to punch coming from the ground. He's given ground when he comes inside. That's when you got to punch instead of just reaching. But he manages to get inside, hits Blackman. And what you've got here, they're reducing the split so that he can go vertical, and then he's coming off across the field, and Blackman's waiting for that to clear. What you're doing is you're waiting for him to clear up in this area, but the problem is that those backers make that inaccessible. You can't take that shot. If you're going to hit anything over here, you got to hit the option route. You got to hit this little corner route to McKitty, where that's going to become a one-on-one. Top of the screen, you've got what looks like a smash fade up at the top. So a hitch and then an inside fade. Really, this needs to come right here to the out, or that little corner, but he just doesn't have time, and that's the reason that this is an interception. Just watch. He sets a little bit too far horizontally here. He gets out a little too far, and then he gets shaken, and then you got to keep your leverage. Make him go outside. Don't get, again, it's just like playing corner. Don't let him make you take that wide step there. As soon as you've taken that wide step, now you're going to have to reach outside your frame and your beat. If you can stay in your frame here when he makes that move, let him go there. And then once he's made that move, you can either wait for him to come inside and then you punch, or if he's going to continue here, that's when you can actually get your hands on him and then just run him around the outside. You got to have some confidence in your positioning. That's just a young player getting beat. It's a bad decision by Blackman from here anyway. But you got to think right there is where you got to be looking against this coverage. Right there. But it's probably best case scenario. That's is a sack. Shouldn't be making that throw. Nice job by the defense. The defense, it starts tightening up from here. I mean, they give up 12 points on 4 drives to the red zone in the first quarter and a half, and then 10 points the rest of the game. And it's pretty good from Briggs here. Muddies the option and then takes the quarterback. That's just too soft in the secondary here. You've got a match there, and ultimately this has to get passed off, and you should be under there if you're Gant. Gant needs to be under the curl here, pass that off to the underneath linebacker, and then the safety's playing a little bit too deep there, giving up a little bit too much room. Pretty good by Cedric Wood. Even better by Wake. Kendall Hinton gave him a lot of trouble. Not going to worry about this. Akers was so close to breaking a number of these. Again, you got the freshman here, worth watching. A little off balance there. You could see a little bit more fundamentals there. Minshew clears out a little bit, and that's pretty good from Baselli. Even better by Lucas, backing up his talk a little bit there. That's good play. Here, less good from that group, and the problem here is that left tackle, and that continues to be the problem. That's Washington right there. Just a little too slow a foot here, and gets beat by the quicker player. Gets out of position because he's trying to get too vertical. Again, you can't get over aggressive here. And this is just split zone. Nothing you can do if you're Akers. That's about as good as you can do. If that had been Miami, that would have been well short of the first down. Nice play by Akers. Won't dwell on that too much. It's a nice play here. Nice play design. They're tucking the. This is one of the things. They've got an inline tight end, and you tuck him inside. Looks like he's going to be running as the blocker for ISO, and then this is another way to run a pop pass, and you get that to him. Turns into a big play. That's really clever. You don't see this very often. Tuck in behind, get behind the linebackers as a pop pass, and I like the physicality here as well. Not bad. Scheming up to take advantage of your tendencies there. That's a nice play call. Nice job by Blackman. Even better job by Akers. Recognize what the defense has given you. Now the problem here is that center gets bottled up a little bit. They're trying to come behind that a little bit, and Akers actually gets a little too far forward, but the center gets pushed back just enough, and the edge beats McKitty across his face a little bit and gets some penetration, and Akers can't get out wide enough. So we got our 3rd and 12 here. It's a really good play by Blackman. Even better play by Akers. So not terrible by the young tackle. This time he tries that inside move, and Washington actually stops it. Roberts gets beat on the speed rush. And what they've got is they've got a green dog backer. He's basically spying the quarterback, and when he breaks out, he's taken off. And this is just Akers handling the green dog well. As soon as he recognizes he's not coming, now he gets to release, and he becomes the outlet, and you're not going to catch him. Nice play by Blackman. He deserves credit for his first half. He did not play badly in the first half. He just played much more poorly in the second. So end of the quarter. Nice job by the defense. First drive of the second half. And at this point, you're starting to see a little bit of pressure come in. And again, they find a way to hide this guy in plain sight. Offensive line has to know he's coming. They're blocking. You got 6 guys blocking 3, and 1 isn't seen until the last minute by Akers. Good job picking him up. And then Blackman steps out there, and that ball's got to be caught. pretty good catch by Kendall Hinton here. And they're just in man free here. And this is a really good route by a guy who was a quarterback a year ago. Little double stick. So he presses his leverage, makes it look like he's going vertical, and then presses him back inside. Makes a really good catch. Hinton will probably get a few meals in the NFL as well. And this is part of the problem here that we're seeing it with Florida State. There's no pressure here. I mean, there is no pressure at all. And that's a throw that Newman probably makes, but let's take a look at what happens here. Got split zone, and once again, guy comes totally free. This is on McDonald. He's got to come tighter. They're slanting a little bit, and this is what the problems that they can cause is he's not at the angle that he expected him to be, but his job is to come tight to the butt of the offensive tackle and kick out anything that shows, and that is too much space. He's got to be right there. If he's able to kick that out, Akers has a seam here. Right there behind Roberts. That becomes a seam right there, and now Akers is in the second level. But instead, he has no chance, partly because Lucas here gets beat inside. It's not a strong enough step. He's getting a little too vertical and not horizontal enough, and the slant beats him. And this is what Wake Forest does, is they're all slanting, and they end up slanting into the zone. So they're slanting away from the back because they know that Florida State likes to run split zone. So they're slanting away from the back, and by slanting, they end up getting an advantageous angle here, and that's what blows this up. And he gets an advantageous angle as well, and there's nothing there, and he nearly fumbled that ball. Once again, an inside move on a tackle, and that's, Blackman, to this point, played pretty well. Not bad. Make the easy look easy. Got to get the first down there, though. 4th and 1. Man, Akers, I'm telling you, he has made himself some money this year. Now, freshman here, not bad. A little bit of a hold. He's got to learn to get his hand placement a little better. Little combo pancake here from the freshman and from Minshew. Not bad. And this is one of the things that makes playing against the Briles offense so difficult is they do a lot with their H-back running game in terms of the sniffer and where he inserts. I mean, oftentimes they'll have that split zone, but when you start expecting that, you start blitzing to that split zone side, you're expecting that to be there. All of a sudden, they'll just run an ISO of some sort and get some space on the other side. One of the things a lot of defensive coordinators will talk about when they're talking about facing a Briles offense is all the problems they cause with what they do at the H-back in the running game. Now, this right here, this is terrible from Lucas. His job is to block this guy, and he just kind of throws his shoulder and whiffs. But Akers, that is filthy. I just hope Akers stays healthy the rest of the year. He deserves that. So here you have a veer type inside zone. Yeah, normally you would have the potential for a quarterback keeping that, but Blackman is no threat to run. And so what they're doing, what they can do here that you can't do if the quarterback is a run threat, is you see this corner reduction. If that corner isn't coming down hard, this might score because he tucks that right up in here. But because they don't believe that the quarterback is going to pull that and do anything here or run it, they hit that with a Charlie with a cat blitz and turns into a fumble. And this fumble really changed the game once again. And that's really Akers' only flaw. It's not a small flaw, but it's his only flaw, really. And the reason that that's a fumble is because they're not having to worry about the run game. Otherwise, that might have scored. About the quarterback run game. Otherwise, that might have scored. This is why I would actually contemplate giving Jordan Travis a run, because on this type of play, you can have that as a threat where you have to honor that potential quarterback reverse out and run, and you can't so readily blitz that corner. You gotta honor the quarterback run threat, and that opens things up that much more for Akers. And that's a fumble. I don't need to see every angle of it. Nice play call here by the defense. They did the same thing in terms of having a guy ready when you've got the opposite jet action. Have him ready to cause problems against any sort of boot. Good job by the edge guy. And Hartman just missed this. That should have been an easy conversion. Still a good play by the defense. Made it a little bit tougher throw. Nice play by Matthews. And this is just bad luck. You got to get on this. Florida State's had a lot of fumbles, has not recovered very many fumbles this year. And then this is Hinton. Really, Hinton should have turned this up the sideline much more. This is where that's not bad, actually. He does a good job of turning that back in. Good job by Samuel. But it's the same problem as what you had earlier, where you've got 2 over 3 here. And that's an easy RPO for Hartman. There's nobody out there. You're just out leveraged. You can't just rely on your edge guy to try to get his hand on the football. They're misaligned here. Got to have somebody for that number 3, and that's just too easy. Really good coverage by a 5'9" corner on a 6'5" receiver there. And this is a brutal hit. It's one where he may have some broken ribs with where that hit was. Shoulder right up to the underside of the rib cage. Real possibility that he's got some broken ribs. Got the youngster up here again, doing his best, but needs help from the back, and 3rd and 16 is just not good enough. Can't be in 3rd and 16. Now Blackman, I think, struggled much more once the ball got wet. So did Hinton as a punt returner. And once again, that's just unlucky. And some of this is just Florida State's defenders. you got to be aware. You got to have your hands down, be ready to go. You can't just watch. You can't be right there. If you're young, you got to be ready. But the real problem is right up here. He's just sort of sitting. So Josh Brown is just sort of waiting. 44, long snapper, just sort of waiting. I think that's Bolden or Samuel, just sort of waiting. You got to be running all the way there and ready for any ball to come out, because you got to be screaming, you got to be hollering and waiting for that ball to come out and then make your play. And once again, this is Hinton causing problems from the secondary, and this is just a little option route and go, getting a vertical, and he got by Dent. Dent was lucky this was underthrown. See if they show the replay. They don't. Nice play by Surratt. And this is actually not bad from Florida State's secondary. They're actually not in terrible position. It's too easy for the quarterback without any pressure. And eventually somebody's going to get open there. And this is why I think they'd have scored like 38 points had Newman been there, because Newman runs like this. And with Newman, you're able to do this with Carney and Newman in the backfield, and it's just a different animal. And what they're able to do, double team on the front side, pull that guard, little skip pull. He's able to get on Dontavius Jackson, and everybody gets washed. 58 cannot get washed down that far. Really good job by the tight end here, washing him down, then getting his hands on the backside backer. And that's why that turns into a big play. You can't get washed there, and you can't have the backer kicked out that easily. And from here, once again, that's easy. And again, this is what they would do with Newman every time. Same play, same basic play. And once again, he gets washed. Once again, the backer steps in and he gets washed. And then you get an overrun. And that's an easy one. And that's the ball game right there. I mean, that play changed everything. All right, let's take a look here. Get a little reducing here. He gets pinned inside, and you can't let yourself get pinned inside here. And then you can't overrun this to the outside. You've got to stay disciplined on the front side. But that double team, you can't get washed. You got to play more physical at the point of attack here from Briggs. It's just not good enough. That guy's good enough. That's just unbelievable. A little harbinger of things to come with a low snap here from Baselli, and then mishandled. Not what you want on 1st and 10. You know, watching this replay, Blackman played, I think, better than I gave him credit for in the post game. And this is a tough one. The freshman's not very good at left tackle yet, but you know, it's hard to be worse than they've had. And this is good. This is a good deep ball right here from Blackman. He struggled to throw him all year, but this is good. And you got a little slant and go, well run, same route that Surratt got, and then Terry, despite sort of stumbling there is still fast enough to outrun the corner, and Blackman gets plenty of time here. You look at the protection; they're in max. Good job by across the board. Gets to step into it, makes a nice solid throw. Terry goes up and gets that. I'd like to see better fundamentals from Terry in terms of going up and making sure that that ball's protected, but overall, good work. Better corner is able to get his hand in there as a result. So this is a play called Duval that they installed in camp. Been waiting on this all year. It just they didn't execute it as well as what they wanted. And the way that this is designed is you have a corner route on this side. It's designed to make it look like he's coming in and blocking, and then that turns into a corner route, and then you've got McKitty coming underneath as a blocker, and then normally he's going to come out in the flat, and you're going to have a two-level read as Matthews is getting outside. Of course, they run this against Wake Forest, who's as disciplined a defense as you're ever going to get. And I had somebody that said, well, this counts as a pass. That right there is a forward pass. No, it's only a forward pass if you tip it forward. If it's handed off, it's not a forward pass. So this can be thrown. And this is where things, they ran this a bunch in practice, and from what I was told, it scored almost every time. But of course, it is against Florida State's defense, and guys are jumpy. But this is where you're expecting this to come from with Matthews, and the corner does a great job of just playing physical and walling him and not buying it. And so Matthews doesn't have anybody to throw to here. And by this point, it just becomes a backyard situation. And Matthews is a special athlete. Does his best trying to get that to Blackman or Gavin there, and they just make a better play. Honestly, at that point, is there anything else you almost want him to try to just score with this with his legs. Get up a little bit further before making that throw, but they've been repping that all year from what I was told, and unfortunately it didn't work like it did in practice and the one time that they broke it out, and now teams are going to be prepared for it. Blackman's got to dive for the first down rather than slide, and he's got to know where the first down is, and you can't come up short here. This is where you got to jump, you got to do whatever it takes, take one for the team in order to get the first down when you're up a point here late in the fourth quarter. Can't come up short. That's a quality play by Hinton, making that catch and then sliding forward. It's pretty good, but that is a good call on the interference. You'll take it and rather than the catch, and this is just bad. And these are starters on the defense. Once again, what are they doing? That little delayed action there. Not as much delayed as what they normally do, but still getting a lot of double teams inside. And they do a great job of doubling, passing off, and finding somebody else. And by doubling, they're able to give you a little bit better angle. And you see that Marvin Wilson, for example, here gets doubled and then just gets turned enough that he can't make the tackle. The real problem here is Durden, once again, gets pushed out of his gap a little bit, manages to push, pull, and get his way back in, and then you got to make that tackle. If you're 300 pounds, you got to make that tackle. And the backer here can't get blocked out of the hole. You got to be able to make that tackle if you're the 300-pound defensive tackle. And yeah, it's slick with the rain and everything, but right there, you make that tackle, and this drive is over. Instead, they get the first down, and that's what sets them up for the field goal that puts them ahead. Really nice throw here. And once again, they're able to get the edge. And that's a tough situation for the corner here. He's got to play over the top because 6'5" versus 5'9", and you don't have any support from the underneath player. That comeback, you can't stop that. You just cannot stop that if you're the corner because you got to honor the deep ball. So unless you've got some help with the flat defender here, there's nothing you can do. And they've got the flat defender on the underneath guys, so that becomes an easy throw. That's that RPO stuff that got him close. It's a nice catch by Surratt. Good tackle by Dent in the secondary. One of the few times that they decided to bring their arms to the party. Nice throw on 2nd and 10. And they're just in quarters here on the top. And yeah, they're quarters across the board here. And so you know you've got the middle of the field if you can clear that inside player. Not real good match. You got to get your hands on him if you're the underneath player here for Wake. Nice throw. Let's take a look at our protection here. That's pretty good from the youngster at tackle. What was I don't remember this penalty. Oh yeah, that was the blow to the head, which I thought was this was a ticky-tack call. High hit. It's can't complain about the officials being biased against Florida State there. This is really good by the safety. Run action to Akers, trying to sneak that out as a screen. He reads the screen, gets out there, and I think Florida State staff was really surprised that this got tackled for a 1 yard gain instead of 4 or 5 yard gain. I think they were planning to go for this, and when they got tackled so late, that's why they had to take it, or so short. That's why they had to take that timeout. But you got to be ready for that. Honestly, I think if this is kicked correctly, if this is kicked on line, I wouldn't be surprised if this would have gotten blocked by one of these guys. You look at where they're at. I think he kicked it. Well, it's close. I think he might have gotten it over him. That's real close, and that's the other downside of calling timeout. There is they're able to get their big guys on to block that field goal. You get no field goal. Nice job by the defense getting a stop here, but you don't have enough timeouts, and you wind up with this. Is there anything to say about that? I think he's going here, trying to let him clear. Directing traffic, trying to clear out there and throw that right in here. Wet ball. 11 seconds still running. Ball is wet, and you get a bad snap from the center as a result, and that's the ball game. Ugly stuff, everybody. I actually think on review that this was a better game for Blackman than I thought. I thought he played overall better than my first impression, but this is frustrating stuff to watch. And I thought the defense played maybe a little more poorly than the stats suggested talk more about this on the podcast itself, but not a whole lot schematically to break down here, to be honest. Just not good enough play from Florida State, stopping what Wake Forest does, and not enough plays made by guys that should be making them. So we'll go ahead and wrap it there. Thanks for listening. Thanks for your support. Thanks for watching.